Hi, I'm Mary Crowley, and this is The Art Show. Today I have two people, one of whom is an artist, the other of whom is an astronaut, both of whom collaborate in order to create works of art. Pat Musick is an artist and sculptor. Jerry Carr is an astronaut and a fabricator who helps Pat create art. The two of them work together. And let me start out by saying, how did this collaboration happen?
Well, it almost didn't, Mary. On our very first date, we had a bit of an argument about the definition of creativity. I told Jerry that I thought that the space effort was probably the most creative effort of mankind in the 20th century. And he replied,
well, my answer was, well, I never really thought of it as creativity. It's really just nuts and bolts engineering.
Which lifted me off the couch. And I decided I would give him one more chance. So a bit later in the relationship, he announced to me,
I can make your frames.
He loved to work in wood. But I had bigger ideas I didn't mention at the time. So now when I poke him in the middle of the night in bed and say, I've got an idea,
I usually say, how much does it weigh?
Because you're thinking of sculptures in stone.
That's right.
Yes, okay. This particular installation, Our Fragile Home, which is on the graphic here, the artist and the astronaut, how did this happen?
Well, in 1990, the United Nations invited 50 cosmonauts and astronauts to address an audience in the General Assembly room.
This was to be the celebration of Earth Day of 1990.
Uh-huh. And I attended with my daughter, and one of my daughters and two of my granddaughters, and sat in the audience with our simultaneous translation headsets on, listening to the space travelers.
They had put us in what they call the green room off to the side of the dais, and they sprung something on us at the last minute. They said, we're going to select 6 of you to speak. We would like you to speak in your own language, and you will only have 1 minute, and the subject we would like you to address is what you consider to be the most important, the most moving thing that you experienced in flying in space. And so with that in mind, we took to the dais, and the first person they called upon to speak was Mary Cleve, and Mary spoke, and she used her minute to talk about the beauty of the Earth, how fragile it looks compared to the depth of, and breadth of space, and how important it was for us to keep the Earth in balance, to be good stewards of our environment, and to take care of the environment. And then when she was finished, she stepped back into the crowd, and the next one came up, and the 6 languages that they selected were English, German, French, Spanish, Saudi, and Russian. And so all of those 6 people stood up and made their presentations, and that was the end of our participation then.
Well, when it was over, Jerry came down into the audience to the girls and me, and we, of course, understood everything that all 6 space travelers had said.
And we didn't have the headsets on the dais. We were...
That was an omission, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Jerry's question was, what did they say?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you're not going to believe this, but they all said the same thing. They all used words like nurture, fragile, beauty, protect, stewardship. They all said the same thing. So this event has been spinning around in my head for 20 years, waiting for me to decide what to do with it. And last year I began to have it come together, how I wanted to express this in artistic materials.
And in the meantime, you have worked on other things, right?
Yes,
Yes, because you're...
many exhibits in the Midwest and Northeast. Before I could really coalesce my thoughts, I spent a lot of time listening to Jerry, other astronaut and cosmonaut friends talk about how they felt about viewing the Earth from space and what their concerns were, and one of which is the pollution and destruction that mankind visits upon the Earth.
Well, let's put up the first visual now, okay? This is a side view of the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah,
And do you want to explain this?
This is taken out the window of a spacecraft that was probably, I think that particular spacecraft was 150 miles up. And there's a very, very thin white layer there that you might be able to see that's just below the blue layer. And that little thin layer is called the ozone layer. And the ozone layer is what protects us.
And it's the very, very, very thin light blue
That's
layer.
right. That's the layer that protects us from ultraviolet radiation from the sun. If the ultraviolet radiation does get through, we'll be fried. So we have to take care of that ozone layer, because the Earth would become like the moon if we don't do it. So there are things that we've done over the years that have polluted it and have also caused the ozone layer to be somewhat damaged. And
here is the second visual.
Now that visual, that one's upside down. Sorry.
I don't think it is it?
We'll get it.
Okay, that shows better. I think I put the label on upside down. These are fires that were started by the Iraqis after the first Iraqi war. When they were retreating, they set these oil wells on fire, and you could see the tremendous amount of carbon emissions that are going out into the Earth's atmosphere. And
the carbon emission is the lighter tone, the lighter yellow tone.
No, it's mostly the black stuff.
It's the black.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure of that.
Yeah, and then in the next picture, we have another instance of humans burning things. This is in the on the island of Borneo, in which
is this right side up?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
In which the people are burning off the forest and the shrublands in order to get land that's cultivatable. And you can see all the smoke that's being put into the atmosphere, and some of that smoke actually will damage the ozone layer. And then in the water offshore, you can see some of the brown silt that's caused by the loss of integrity of the landfall, and where we're getting some erosion. Another
Who
case
took
here.
these photographs? Where did these photographs come from?
These were taken by people on our missions in Skylab, and also taken during the shuttle missions for many years. These are probably the best pictures that I was able to find to demonstrate this thing. Now the next one is a picture of the Rio Orinoco River as it empties into the ocean, and you can see that there's a lot of red silt there. This is caused by people upstream who have been clearing forests and clearing out the rainforests, and the red silt is now being washed after a few rains down into the ocean. And this is only one example of many, many that we were able to see from space. We've seen the same sort of sedimentation coming out of Mobile Bay in Alabama.
Hold that image in your mind, Mary, because I use the form of that red silt in some of the work we're going to discuss.
Okay. Well now, as a result of this, you decided to collaborate on Our Fragile Home, which is an installation which is in process
right
now.
We've been working about a year on it. We probably have another year to go.
Yes, and that puts art in perspective. Let's just go right ahead and show these. This is a piece of the installation. Do you want to explain this? And then we can go to the smaller well, not smaller, the large table with the sculpture on top from
Okay.
time to time?
This is the first inspiration for the show that I had. I decided to work to begin with the 8 words that I identified that these space travelers used in common. And I would create 8 identical sculptures that would represent, each sculpture represents 1 word. The total installation is 15 feet long. The base of that the sculpture sits on was created by Jerry in our metal fabrication shop. It's made of steel and painted black. The sculpture itself
Now, maybe we could get a close-up shot now of the sculpture itself.
The sculpture rests on the top of this metal stand. It's placed upon a block of wood, and
Vermont maple, by the way.
thank you. And on top of it are 5 pieces of Vermont slate. These, for me, represent the stratification of the Earth under the sea and the beginning of the evolution of our planet. Placed on top of that is a square of Lexan, and for me that represents the ocean.
Which is the larger piece.
Yes, that's
Yes.
the clear plastic piece. And then on top of that, again, are 5 more pieces of Vermont slate, and they represent the emergence of the Earth, the land part of our planet, from the ocean, culminating with the birth of the natural environment represented by the stick, which is bronze, and the birth of animal and human life, which is represented
by the
eggs.
By the eggs. All right, now that is one piece. Now this is another piece.
I also work works on paper. Many sculptors do a combination of drawing and sculpting, because drawing is so much in the heart of a sculptural object. It's like the skeleton form. You flesh it out in working on paper before you do it in the final 3-dimensional form. But we also make what we might call paintings on paper. This piece is 12 feet long and 5 feet high, and it's made of Japanese handmade kozo paper that's made with the mulberry branch. Upon that, I drew in acrylic these drip blots, and that's what I was talking about when I said, remember the image of the Orinoco River, because I get that same rivulet flowing feeling out of this piece. I covered the entire paper strip with beeswax, which gives it a translucent, very fragile feeling, which sort of emulates the feeling of the show, Our Fragile Home. This piece is called Raindrops Keep Falling on My Soul.
And as the air conditioning system or a fan in the room does its thing, these strips kind of wave a little bit, so it makes them feel
So they're moving like
even more alive.
raindrops falling on one's soul. All right, now here are the words.
There are many works on paper in this show. This is a second form. Eventually, this is in process. We've now cut it into strips. We're getting ready to mount it the same way that the previous drawing was mounted, on a metal bar or bracket that Jerry fabricates in the metal shop. But this image contains all of the words, the 8 words that the space travelers used.
And the 8 words are, said she, reading them.